Hello, this video is going to cover section 4.3 in the Algebra 2, where again it could be a different section in a different class, but this is modeling is what they call it with the quadratic functions. So modeling could be a lot of different things, so it's kind of hard to look this up and know exactly what they're talking about. But the modeling could be like word problems, and that's typically a modeling situation. This one's actually like writing the equation from points. So I'm going to show you a couple by hand. It's a long method by hand. And then I'm going to show you on a calculator and Excel. So I think it's important for sections like this where to do a math problem by hand, it takes a long time. We're talking these problems. We're talking a couple minutes to do one problem, or, a couple seconds to do it on a calculator or something like that. So I do want to show you both methods. Okay, so let's look at my first example. I have the points 1, -2. I have the points 2, -2, 3, -4. And the question will say, write the equation of a quadratic equation, or I'm saying it wrong. Write a function of that's a quadratic for these points. So what we want to start with is we're going to take each point and we're going to plug it into our general standard form, and then we're going to solve each one. So here's what I mean. We have y equals a, I had someone walk by and it totally threw me off, plus bx plus c. There's our standard form. We're going to plug in those numbers first. So I'm going to use the point 1, -2 first. So I'm going to put x, y. I'm going to put these in here, x and y. So I would get -2 equals a, x is 1 squared plus b times 1 plus c. And then I can simplify this, not a whole lot. 1 squared is 1. 1 times a is 1a. 1 times b is 1b. So I could really just simplify this to -2 equals a plus b plus c. So there's our first equation that then we can use that with like elimination or substitution in a system to solve for a, b, and c. So here's the first one. Then let's look at the next one. That's 2 and -2. And we're going to say, okay, -2 is our y, equals a times x, which is 2 squared, plus b times 2 plus c. So let's simplify this out. 2 squared is 4. And then 4 times a is just 4a. And we like to write the number in front. It just makes more sense than a4. And then over here, we're going to do b times 2, or 2b plus c. So there's our second equation. And our third equation, we'll use the last one, 3, -4. So we have -4 equals a times 3 squared plus b times 3 plus c. Now be careful. Notice I put the 3 in parentheses. I've said this over and over and over. Every time I have a square, you want to use the parentheses so you put it in the calculator right if it happens to have a negative, okay, or that you get a positive anytime you square that. So 3 squared is 9. So this one, we're going to have 9a plus 3b plus c. Then what we're going to do is we're going to solve these three systems of equations for a, b, and c. So this is where it gets long, is then you have to use whatever method. The easiest method I find is elimination by far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the different equations, maybe 1 and 2 first, and I can see that we could easily eliminate the c's. If one was negative and one was positive, you could add those two together and get 0. So I'm going to take I'm going to take and use equations. Let's call this one 1, 2, and this one 3. Let's use 1 and 2, and we're going to eliminate C, and we're going to times -1 times, we'll just do by 1, either way. So I'm going to times -1 by this one here. So I'm going to times, so H1 is going to change its sign. So it's going to become 2 equals -A minus B minus C. So I changed all the signs on number 1. Then I'm going to write down number 2, which is -2 equals 4A plus 2B plus C. So you can see I'm eliminating my C's. You could have eliminated whatever letter looks like the easiest. These all just had a C, so those are super easy to eliminate. Okay, so this is going to be a 0 equals what? Negative or positive 3A plus B, and then the C is eliminated. So now I have a formula or a function with just A and B. So then let's look at different combination. We did 1 and 2. So we can do 2 and 3, or we could do 3 and 1. You can really pick either combination. You have to eliminate the C's. They're all easy to eliminate the C's. So I'm just going to do 2 and 3. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 and 3, and I need to times -1 times by whatever one, 2. So I'm going to times -1 by this one again to get that negative C. So this becomes 2 equals -4A minus 2B minus C. And then I'm going to write down 3, which was -4 equals 9A plus 3B plus C. Okay, add these down, and I get -2 equals 5A plus B, no more C's. Now, phew, all that work. We're going to take these two and combine them and eliminate again. So we can easily eliminate the B's on this one because the B's are both just positive B. So I'm going to times -1 by, let's call this equation 3 and 4. I'm going to times by 3, I guess. So -1 times 0 is still 0. So -3A minus B. So I changed all those signs, and then I'm going to write this one down. So it becomes -2 equals 5A plus B. Okay, those ones cancel, yay, and I get 0 minus 2 is -2. 5 minus 3 is 2A. Okay, divide by 2, and A is going to equal -1. Oops. Yay, I got -1 for A. Now I start working backward, right? So to find B and C. So we want to start with putting in the -1 either here or here. This one looks pretty easy. So one with just B and A, equation 3 or 4, so that you can get the other one. So I know A is -1. So I'm going to go, okay, we know 0 equals 3 times -1 plus B. 3 times -1 is -3. So if 0 equals -3 plus B, that's a negative. So add it to the 0. Add it to the 0, and I get B is 3. So now I have B, and now I have A. I then have to go all the way back to one of those original functions that I formed to find C. Well, this one's pretty easy. So let's look at that one. So that one says -2 equals A plus B plus C. So I know A is -1. I know B is 3, but we don't know C. So we could just solve this one. So let's see, -1 and 3 make 2. So then I'm going to minus the 2 over. -2 minus 2 more is -4 equals C. So then from here, I have my A, B, and C. A, B, and C. So C is -4. So now that I know A, B, and C, I can now write my equation. So this is your answer. So there is a ton of work to get one answer. So the answer is y or f of x, depending. A is -1 times x squared plus b times x minus c or plus c. Just happens to be a -4. So you could have wrote plus a -4, but it's better to write the -4 and to understand that's the same thing. So that is the equation of the line that forms those points. So I'm going to show you a couple things. First of all, let's see. I'm going to show you, this is just a regular TI graphing calculator. You can order one of these from the school if you don't have one. Buy one for about 80 bucks. This is the lower end one and it works awesome. This is one of my favorite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Stat and I'm going to go into just the first one. It's called Edit. And in my lists, I'm going to clear, enter. Notice when I clear, I'm all the way up on the list. Clear, enter. You don't want to push delete. You actually, you probably have to call me for help. Okay, or Google it. So list 1, I'm actually going to think of these as X and Y. That's what L1 and L2 are. So I'm going to take those original points, which I have written somewhere, which was 1, and enter. You have to hit enter to get it to go in. -2, enter. So 1, -2 was that first point. And then the next point went 2. And then it went -2. Make sure you're using the negative sign way down here. Not the minus, the negative on a TI. It's really picky. It will mark you wrong. So those are my points. Watch this. I can then go to graph. Oh wait, I think I have to go to table set, format. I can't remember. Oh, that's it. Stat plot. There we go. Enter. Let's turn that on. Okay, so I went to stat plot and I'm going to turn on the first one and I'm going to tell it to do dots. That's a scatter plot and it tells list 1, list 2, and it pretty much sets it up for you. You just have to turn it on. Now when I graph, I can see those 3 dots that I just that I started with. So what did I do again? I hit stats, enter. So stat, enter. Put in the numbers, and then second hand y equals is stat plot, turned on the plot and hit graph, and I see my dots. Now I'm going to check my equation. I hit y equals and I'm going to put in what we came up with, which was -1 or -x. Here's the x here that you always use in your y equals. So again, I hit y equals, not the stat, but the y equals, and I put in -1 x to the second power plus 3x minus 4, and now I have put in the equation we came up with. Does it look like it goes through our points? Well, yes, it does. So we know we did a good job. So what I like about the calculator is you can check your work, but it'll also give you the equation as well, and I'm going to show you that. So I wanted you to see y equals, put in your equation, push graph, and then you'll be able to see it. You don't have to plot those points if you don't want to, but it's a great way to see them. Another thing you can do is after you've put in the dots in stat, or the points, I always call them dots, you can go over to calculate and you can find regression lines. That is a quadratic that fits your data or a linear that fits your data. This one's a quadratic. I can hit enter and then it's going to go to my regular screen and I need to hit enter again. So you always have to hit enter twice. Look, it gives me my ABC. So the calculator will find A, B, and C for you. Do you need to know how to do it by hand? Yes, because you need to know this process. Well, I mean, it's not like you're going to do this for a living, but this process comes up in a lot of math classes. And the more you understand how it works, the better you are. But I do think you need to know how to use it on a calculator as well. So that it was kind of quick. If you need more help with the calculator, oh, please contact me. I'm pretty good on it. The other thing I'm going to show you is in Excel, the same kind of idea. And I've showed this in one other video that you may have watched. All I'm going to do is say, okay, X, Y, and I'm just going to put in my points. They were 1, -2, they were 2, -2, and they were 3, -4, and those are our points. So x and y. I don't want to highlight the x and y. I want to highlight the numbers only. I'm going to insert a scatter plot, so insert a scatter plot, and that's going to show my dots. I don't really care that it doesn't show the rest of my graph, but you can see it's in the bottom right-hand corner, and it looks the same as what we just had. Vertex would be up here somewhere. You can see the shape. What you can do is you can left click on a dot, then right click, and you can add a trend line. Once you're in here, you can pick any kind of trend line. We are actually doing a polynomial in the order of 2. So what's a polynomial? It's a big old long formula, or not a formula, I can't even think. A math type looking problem that has x squared, maybe an x to the third, maybe an x to the fourth. So order 2 is an x squared. Order 3 is a cubic. Order 4 is a quartic. So you can go anything you want. You want to display your equation, and I'll let you put an r value on there too, just for fun. Let me show you what this looks like. Ta-da! Here's the equation that it gives you. Look, that's what we got. Okay, the r squared. What is that? Well, it actually tells you the closer that number is to 1, the better it fits your data. If it's a 1, it fits your data exactly, and that's what you want for these most of these questions. If it's a word problem, it might be like a 96.96 or a 0.85, still pretty good. If it's a 0.2, it's not really fitting your data very well. How did I get this equation again? I clicked on a dot and then I right-clicked it, and I get, well, mine's format trend line now because I already did it, but you can go in, you right click into trend line options, and you can add whatever you want. So see, I could try to do a line and watch what happens. It tries to fit a line to that data, and it's not very good. So here's the line. That's the equation. And look, it says 0.75 on the r squared. That doesn't fit your data very well. What fits your data better is the polynomial to the second order, or the quadratic. And there you go. There's our quadratic. Fits way better. And the r square value is a 1. All right, so there's a quick overview of doing the problem by hand, doing the problem in Excel, and how to do it on a TI. They're all very similar on the TI, except if you have a TI 89, you don't have a stat list. It's in your apps. So you click apps, you go to the stat list, and you put them in. They call them list 1, list 2, same idea, and then you have to figure out where the calculate part is, and I can't remember on that one. I don't have one with me to show you, but all right. Well, good luck on this homework.